Okay, got a quick topic here. Maybe not quick. I might go on a tangent, but I want to talk about ranked matchups in the Big Sky based on the stats performed top 25. So obviously the season's about to start, and we can only do this right now because the rankings are going to change. Some teams might drop out of the rankings, some teams might come into the rankings, and this is looking completely different. But as it stands right now, where are the ranked matchups for each Big Sky team, and what are the number of ranked matchups for each Big Sky team, and who are they? I went down the list earlier in the offseason. You guys remember I did I did the numbers. I don't know if I told you guys the numbers. I think I did talk about it on the channel. But I talked about strength of schedule and the teams that have the toughest to weakest strength of schedule in the conference. The toughest strength of schedule in the conference is Weber State per last year's data. So if you're looking at the way I did the strength of schedule is I looked at each team's opponents, and I looked at their opponent's winning percentage from the previous season. That dictated the strength of schedule. Obviously, some teams have FBS opponents, so it's a little skewed. I probably should have done strictly FCS opponents, but I didn't. We're looking at each team's strength of schedule. At number one on the list with the toughest strength of schedule based on winning percentage from 2024 was Weber State. The weakest strength of schedule based on winning percentage of 2024 was Idaho. And we're going to tell you who those ranked matchups are and all that stuff. So Weber State, they have 5 ranked matchups as it stands right now in 2024 and 2025. Those ranked matchups are UC Davis, Sac State, Montana, MSU, and NAU. All the playoff teams from the Big Sky in 2024. So, I mean, no surprise that Weber State is at the top of this list. They play every big playoff team from 2024. That's going to be a tough schedule. That's going to be a tough schedule for sure. I don't have high hopes for Weber State, but they play 5 ranked matchups. The reason I'm doing all this because it's going to get to a point. So stay locked in because it's a team that plays the least amount of ranked matchups in 2025, and I think it's pretty interesting. Cal Poly has 6 ranked matchups in 2025. Stephen F. Austin, Sac State, UC Davis, Montana State, and NAU. So there could be an argument there that Cal Poly might have the toughest strength of schedule. We're not going to go there right now. Let me actually go to my average win percentage list right here. Actually, so that's funny. Cal Poly and Weber State were tied for the exact same strength of schedule at 0.544. Toughest strength of schedule at 0.544. So no surprise to see Cal Poly has 6 ranked matchups for the 2025 season. Northern Colorado also has 6. They play South Dakota. They play Idaho, Sac State, UC Davis, MSU, and NAU. 5 ranked matchups in a row for Northern Colorado. I believe it's like they play Idaho, Sac State, UC Davis, MSU, and NAU. I believe they play all those teams in a row. That is a gauntlet. My goodness. They definitely have the toughest schedule in the entire Big Sky. I would say Northern Colorado has the toughest schedule in the entire Big Sky. They have 6 ranked matchups. They play 5 ranked matchups in a row. I mean, gauntlet. Similar to Portland State's schedule last year. Not as many ranked matchups in a row, but they had a ton of FBS games and then a ton of ranked matchups on their schedule as well. Montana State is 4th in strength of schedule in the Big Sky. At 4th toughest strength of schedule, mind you. They have South Dakota State at the beginning of the season, and they start the season with Oregon. So Oregon heavily skewed their data, but Montana State sits at 4th toughest strength of schedule. They have 4 ranked matchups in 2025. South Dakota State, NAU, UC Davis, and Montana. Idaho State is sitting at 5th toughest. 5 ranked matchups: Montana State, NAU, UC Davis, and Idaho. NAU sits at 1, 2, 3. I'm losing count. 4, 5, 6 toughest strength of schedule. They have 4 ranked matchups: Incarnate Word, Montana State, UC Davis, and Idaho. Eastern Washington sits at 7th toughest strength of schedule. They have 5 ranked matchups. They have Incarnate Word, Montana State, Idaho, Sac State, and Montana. Portland State sits at 8th toughest strength of schedule. 8th toughest strength of schedule. They have 5 ranked matchups: Tarleton State, NAU, Idaho, Sac State, and Montana. It's also, this kind of reminds me of like the SEC bias because, like a lot of those SEC teams get ranked so highly because of their strength of schedule, because of the preseason rankings. As it stands for the Big Sky, they have 6, I believe it's 6 ranked teams in the top 25. You got Montana State at 1, the first, 2, 3, 4, I believe it's 6, 5, and then NAU 6. Yeah, so Big Sky has 6 ranked teams in the preseason top 25. So that's obviously going to skew all the numbers. That's going to make their strength of schedule look tougher and all of that stuff. But we don't know how good these teams are right now. So take all of this with a grain of salt. But Portland State sits with 5. UC Davis at the 9th toughest strength of schedule has 5 ranked matchups. They play Mercer and the FCS opener. We talked about that earlier in the show. NAU, Idaho, MSU, and Sac State. Montana, this is the one. They are at 10th toughest strength of schedule. So they have one of the weaker strength of schedules in the entire Big Sky, and they play 3 ranked matchups in 2025. Those 3 ranked matchups are Idaho. They open up conference play with Idaho. Then they go to Sac State. Later on in the, Sac State might be coming here. They play Sac State, and then they play Montana State at home. So 3 ranked matchups, Idaho, Sac State, and MSU. So that is why a couple of weeks ago, I think it was last week or the week before, I was talking about Montana, and I said Montana at worst needs to be an 8-4 football team. Not because they're that good, not because they have all the talent, not because their opponents, it's because of their strength of schedule. Their strength of schedule is not very strong. Montana is an 8-win football team at minimum. At minimum. If they are who they say are, they're an 8, and I really think at minimum they got to be a 9-win football team at minimum. Their schedule is so favorable. North Dakota, Indiana State, and Central Washington make up part of their non-conference schedule. And then I can't remember who rounds it out, but I'll get you that answer right now. Central Washington, North Dakota, Indiana State, and then they play another Sacred Heart later on in the season. Yeah, they play Sacred Heart in October. But, they're non-conference. Central Washington, North Dakota, and Indiana State, all at home. You can't lose those. Montana has 8 home games. That's another reason. 8 home games, you should have at least 8 wins if you got 8 home games. Now, obviously, we know they're going to play some tough teams at home. They go to Sac State this year, and then Montana State comes here. But the games that they have on the road are Sac State, they go to Weber, they go to Portland, and they go to Idaho State. So Pocatello, they're going to Sac, they're going to Ogden, and they're going to Portland. Weber and Portland should be wins. Idaho State, Pocatello should be wins. The only up in the air home game they have, or a road game they have, is Sac State. This team has to be an 8 to 9 win football team. I'm not trying to harp on this point, but I know I'm harping on this point. 3 ranked matchups as it stands right now for 2025. And if you really look at it, do you think North Dakota? I think North Dakota could potentially be ranked maybe after a week or two. Maybe. I don't see that, but maybe. Indiana State, I don't see them being ranked. Idaho, they're already ranked. Idaho State, I don't necessarily see them being ranked. They could be. I don't see that. Cal Poly, I don't see that. Sacred Heart, I don't see that. Sac State is ranked currently. Weber State, they could sneak in there. I don't really see it. They haven't been the same since Jay Hill left. Eastern Washington, they could definitely be ranked. They got some talent, but we will see. Montana gets them at home. Portland State, I don't see them being ranked. And Montana State, I see them being ranked all season. So, where the rankings are right now, I see the teams being ranked. I don't see them getting some more ranked teams sneaked into their schedule. Their schedule is what the schedule is. Montana has to be an 8 to 9 win football team this year. And if they really are a national championship contender with the schedule that they have, Montana should be a 10 to 11 win football team in 2025. I'm being very, very honest with you. We're going to finish this list real quick. At 11th toughest strength of schedule is Sac State with 4 ranked matchups. South Dakota State, Montana, Idaho, and UC Davis. And then at 4th, at the weakest strength of schedule in the conference is Idaho. They have 4 ranked matchups: Montana, NAU, UC Davis, and Sac State. So the average number of ranked games for Big Sky teams in 2025 is 4.7. So almost an average of 4 to 5 ranked games for each Big Sky team in 2025. Montana has 3. They have a very favorable schedule. I don't want to harp on it anymore. You guys let me know what you guys think in the comments about that down below, and I will move on.